Hey guys, thanks for tuning into Mr. Hendricks' class. Today we're going to be speaking about different types of scales, how to use the different scales, as well as estimations. Let's get started. For our last lesson, we learned that there are different units of measurement for when we're measuring weight. Now let's take a look at actual weights of actual objects. First, we have a bag of Irish sugar, which has a weight of 1 kilogram. Next, we have an African elephant, which weighs about 6,000 kilograms. An aeroplane with a weight of 41,000 kilograms to a bird weighing just 100 grams. A whale with a weight of 30,000 kilograms, right up until the latest Tesla model, weighing 2,250 kilograms. You might remember that when we're talking about length, we mention things like rulers and measuring tapes. But what do we use when we want to measure weight? Well, you're right, we use weighing scales. There are over 3 types of weighing scales. However, the most common are: the first one is called a balance weighing scale. They're kind of old, so maybe if you have a granny or an opa who likes to cook and bake, they might have one of these stashed far at the back cupboards. They are also very common when it comes to the weighing of gold objects. The second scale is an analog weighing scale. These you can usually find in the kitchen or on the bathroom floor if it's an older weighing scale. The third and final weighing scale is probably the most common one that we see in shops. This is a digital weighing scale. You'll see this if you go to the shops and you need to maybe weigh a few items, like you need to weigh 3 onions or 5 butternuts, something like that. So this is what the digital scales will be used for. Now comes the fun part. Now that we know all of the different types of scales, let's get to learning how we use them. We can say that the balance scale works exactly the same like a seesaw, if you've ever been on one of them. So one side of the scale, you put the weight that you want to measure out, like this 500 grams. To balance the scale, you'll need to put an object with an equal weight on the other end. So let's say we're measuring eggs. We will need to keep adding eggs until it is flat and balanced. Then we know we have 500 grams of eggs. So we always want both sides to be equal on the scale. Now that you know that, let's practice a few scale questions. I'm going to show you an unbalanced weighing scale. You need to figure out what weight you would put on the other side to make it balance again. You ready? On this scale, you will need to choose a weight below to add to the scale to make the balances even. That would mean that both sides are weighing the same. If we added 200 grams, both sides would be equal. Let's try another one. On your right hand side, we have the desired amount of 75 grams. However, we only have 25 on our left. What is the amount of weight we would need to add to have an equal scaled balance? That's correct. We'll need to add a 50 grams to make the scale equal. Let's try another one. Maybe we can do this a bit better. So we've got 250 on one side and nothing on the other side. Which two weights would we need to add to the other side to make it equal? Well, the two weights we would need are the 200-gram weight and the 50-gram weight. That will make the two sides equal. Let's go for one last practice one, and this is probably the most difficult one so far, because you're going to need more than one weight to balance the scale. I want you to remember that there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. Can you try and answer this for me? you'll need to add 700 grams, 50 grams, and 200 grams. Now we know how to use weighing scales. Let's take a look at analog scales. The face of an analog scale is a bit similar to the face of a clock. There are small lines and large lines. The small lines are the grams and the large lines are the kilograms. So we are saying that this big one here is 1 kilogram while the 500 is 500 grams. We use the scale by placing an item on top to find out the weight. For example, this lekker piece of chicken, and we can see that the red arm spins to 500. This means that this piece of chicken weighs 500 grams. Lekker, na? Quick question. If one piece of chicken weighs 500 grams, how much would two pieces of chicken weigh? If you guessed 1 kilogram, you are right, because there are 1000 grams in 1 kilogram. You guys know I already love examples, so I'm going to show you items on this type of scale. You need to figure out which weight they are. Are you ready? Right, listen up. Let's pretend this is a nice big piece of KFC, a full bucket's worth of chicken. We want to find out what is the weight. How much does it weigh? If you said 1 kilogram, you're correct. Next up is Burger King. What do you think is the weight of this piece of burger? If you said 300 grams, echa, sisa. Let's do another example. Full for Oars in Dinovia. Next up, we have a picnic basket. Remember that the bigger lines represent kilograms while the smaller represent grams. If you said 3500 grams, you are correct. Another way we could have said this answer using both kilograms and grams is by saying that it weighs 3 kilograms and 500 grams. Next up is this piece of fish. I wanted to let you take note that it's not exactly on the 1 kilogram yet. So what do you think it is? Julle is net te kwaai. If you said 900 grams, then you are correct. Let's check our last and easiest scale, the digital scale. These ones are the simplest scales yet. As long as you keep batteries charged and in good condition, these won't let you down. They do all the hard work for us. Similar to all the other weighing devices, you place the object on top of the scale which you want to weigh, and the number appears in digital form on the top side. En was julle voete nou voor julle dit gebruik, hoor? Okay, thank you for your attention, grade 5s. That draws us with an end to all the different scales and their use.